As you can tell by the clip at the beginning of this video, a lot of people have been feeling down on themselves, I guess, whether it's depression or sadness or whatever. And a huge part that had to do with this is probably COVID-19 and just being isolated from all your friends. And I guess I wanted to make a video about this because I was thinking about it. I put up similar Facebook posts to this. My friends have. I'm pretty sure everyone has felt it or thought about it at one time or another, and especially over the past year. Today is like the 11th month, like 11 straight months of being isolated from all of my friends. And it's not the same as seeing them on Zoom or calling them over the phone or sending a text message. That is all nice and dandy, but it doesn't fill the void of actually having a face-to-face interaction, laughing with them, having a conversation with them. And there's a couple reasons for that. The main one, yes, we do get to talk to our friends on Zoom, but it's always monitored, whether it's whether it's like they put us in a breakout room on Zoom, at least. That's the only time we really get to talk and be ourselves, but we can't really say everything we want to say because the teacher can just pop in there at any time and be like, what were you guys talking about? And some of my friends would use some more strong language that you can't do because it's like we're technically still in school. And those are just 5-minute conversations. You can't do a good 11 months recap in 5 minutes with everyone talking and joking and everything. Back when I was at IFBI, we would sit in the dorms for a good 3 hours, 4 hours sometimes even, just talking and going back and forth and, being friends. And you can't do that on Zoom. Another thing, other than it being super short, I guess being short is another thing. 5 minutes isn't long enough. And sometimes it's even shorter than that. You just have to say hi to each other at the beginning of class, and she's like, okay, so let's get to today's history lesson. And we're like, but I was saying hi to my friend. They're like, yeah, you can chit-chat later. But when do they give us time to chit-chat? They never give us time to talk or anything. And, it's monitored, the teacher's right there, and it's super short. And this doesn't even do a good job. We can't convey all of our feelings or whatever over a Zoom call. That's just not, good enough. What are we supposed to do? So, we need to be back in person, ASAP. And the problem is, my school is being a pain in the you-know-what, because I don't even understand it. It's like majority of public schools are back in session, but we are still remote. And I know it's a huge difference. A public school, you have everyone from a good 10-mile radius going to one high school, where we have people from 300 miles coming to the same school. And the COVID variant might be stronger in the upper part of the state than in the lower part of the state. And if you miss those kids, plus kids with all kind of medical condition, then that might not go well. But like asthma or something, you have a compromised immune system, and you have the higher chance of dying from COVID-19, struggling to fight off the virus with COVID-19 than if you didn't have asthma. But there's kids at public school with asthma, so, why did that make an exception to us? We should have been back in person a long time ago, and they want to do all these protocols and all sorts of stuff like that, but I don't think the public high school that's 2 blocks from my house that my brother goes to is doing nearly as much. I don't think they have all the plexiglass on the tables and plexiglass in between desks and all sorts of stuff like that. Yes, they require to wear a mask, and I'm pretty sure they wipe down the desk, but they're overdoing it at my school, just the way they sound like they're prepping it. And I know you can be safe. We want everyone to be safe. We don't want anyone to get sick. We don't want anyone to get sick. We don't want anyone to die. And yes, I get that. We put our health first. But isn't there sometimes where you just overdo it? Sometimes, okay, you can tell this is a bit of an overkill. And you're just sort of like, you just sort of sit back and think like, actually, you got a point. This is a bit extreme, and like we can be the same as a public school, so why aren't we? And this is really hurting people's mental health, and I am not an expert on mental health. I mean, going through like depression in 7th grade is not nothing compared to what some of my friends deal with. And I have it light. Like, I don't get depressed or whatever easily, but for people that do, I have sort of an outlet to it. I don't really think about it, but I still communicate with my friends. Then you think about the people who just have to stay in their room all day with overprotective parents or grandmas or aunts or whatever who won't let them go anywhere and just stay in the house 24/7 for the past 11 months, and no one talks to them. No one touched them. No one gives them a phone call. Nobody is like, I wonder how LT's doing today. Nah, nothing. It's like, oh, I saw you call, but I never called you back. Sorry, that's my bad. And I know people get busy and everything, but just like no one, like you have an entire group of friends and no one reaches out to see how you're doing in a deadly pandemic. Like, it's like you can, like, if you just fell off the side of the earth, no one would notice you disappeared. And it's like, wow, I thought you guys were my friends. I thought they trusted me, they loved me, they wanted to hang out with me, they enjoyed talking to me, and they don't give you the light of day, and they don't talk to you. It's like, I see now. It makes you sort of doubt yourself and be like, were they just actually my friends, or were they just fake friends, pretending to like me, pretending to talk to me, only dealing with me because they had to, because we were in the same school, or in the same class, or sat at the same table. Like, it's not a good feeling when you feel like you have fake friends who just sort of hang out with you because they feel obligated to, or because just like, well, I have no one else to talk to, so I'm going to talk to LT because he's the only one here. I don't want to talk to LT, but might even be by myself. So, yeah, that happens to people all the time. And it's not a good feeling. And, like, so you're just isolated, I guess, in your, like I said, in your room, and there's no one to talk to, and it gets boring, I guess, watching your YouTube and checking your Instagram and your Facebook constantly. And you see, oh, hey, my friend is doing this. They went to Florida. Oh, my other friend, they're in a wedding in Texas, and I'm just stuck in my room. Doing nothing. Yeah, I'm just sitting here. I could watch Netflix, but even that gets boring sometimes. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Just anticipate the next episode of American Idol on Hulu? I mean, like, that only comes out on Sundays. What are we supposed to do with the rest of our time? The point is that it's just a very, very screwed up, I guess. And some people are doing it better than others. Some people couldn't care less. They're like, oh, I'm fine. They don't want to talk about it. They just keep it to themselves. But the problem with that on the other side, if you bottle it up too long, then you're just going to explode. And that also isn't good. And it sometimes seems like the people you explode at are the ones that actually want to help you. And you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just overwhelmed, or I'm stressed. Well, they have no one to talk to. That's sort of why they're overwhelmed and stressed, because no one talked to them and they have no one to talk to. And that just isn't right, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And not everyone feels like this, but that's just sort of the people that take it well. The people that don't take it as well, they get depressed. They just feel like, oh, what's it worth living? Well, I mean, if I've been at my house for the past 11 months and no one talks to me, what's the point of living here? Or living life in general? And then they get like depression thoughts and thoughts of suicide and self-harm and come into their head, and that's not good or a healthy mind state either. And there's just a lot of problems with this, and it's more of an underlining thing, because the news people are only going to tell you, oh, this many people got the virus today, and this many people lost their life to COVID, and all that stuff. But I haven't seen one news report, whether on ABC, CNN, or CBS today, where they are like, this is mental health problems that people are dealing with, and they need to do something. I mean, counseling is a good way to deal with it. Making YouTube videos to the world that no one's gonna watch. It's just so therapeutic, I guess. Like some people find therapy in writing. Like they write and they reread it and they're like, I feel so much better now. Taking a walk. There's like 12 inches of snow outside my house. Why is it 12 inches? A foot of snow outside my house, so no one's walking right now. But yeah, I guess me just sometimes talking myself through things and videos, is sort of my way to cope or deal with it. And you just have to get out somehow, because no one wants you to bottle all that emotion and feelings and depression up, and then you just explode. And then also, sometimes it's just too late, because there's people that want to help you, they just don't know how to help you. And by the time they do try to help you, you just sort of reject them, because you don't really know how to be like, okay, I'm dealing with this and that and all of this. But then there's also people that are like, oh, I can fix this. And sometimes people don't need fixers, they just need listeners. I found out I'm more of a listener than a fixer. I give terrible advice, I think. Because I remember a couple years ago, like, this girl was like, oh, my boyfriend, I like this boy and all that stuff. And I'm like, you want advice? And they're like, sure. And I'm like, I have nothing to say. So I'm better of a listener than an advisor. And different people are like that. Like, if I went to my friend Katie, I think she'd give really good advice. If I went to my friend Alyssa, she is a good listener and advisor, I think. She given me both advice, and then she's sort of like, well, did you think about this, or did you try that? And then I would explain to her, like, yes, I thought about this, but I didn't know if that would work or not, but it's, and then also the best kind of people are the one that don't push you, I guess. It's like, you gotta do this, like, because I say so. No, it's a subtle suggestion. That's sort of the best way to get advice. It's like, well, you could do this, or you can be like, if I was in your situation, I would do this or that, but that's just me. You have to make your own decision. But also it's frustrating when it's like, oh, what should I do? And they're like, I can't tell you that. Only you can make that decision. I'm like, I'm asking you for advice. What do you mean? Don't tell me only I can make that decision. I know only I can, but I'm asking for different suggestions or pieces of advice. You see how this can get very complicated and confusing very quickly, depending on the person you ask. And some people are like a therapist or counselor, they're really good at it, or you just have those friends that you really like to talk out your problems with. Like, you have one designated friend that's like, okay, whenever I have a problem, I'm going to this person. And that's great. I don't think I have one of those people, because sometimes I feel like I don't want to burden people with my problems. I'm like, say everyone has 5 problems each, and like, say everyone has 5 problems. I'm gonna go to Alyssa and be like, okay, so I'm doing with this and that. So I unloaded 3 of my problems on her. So now she already has her 5 that she's dealing with. So that's 8 problems. So she gets overwhelmed. She goes to Katie and be like, explodes and unloads all of her problems on Katie. And Katie might want to be a fixer and be like, oh, you should do this and that. And they get overwhelmed. And so it's like, that's sort of how I feel, how you don't want to unload all your problems, not all, even like one of your problems onto someone else, because you feel like, oh, they already have enough dealing with, they have this and that and all of this to figure out. And you feel like you're just going to be adding to it, or they just don't care. And they're going to seem sincere, but they're really not sincere. Or just be honest, they really don't care one way or the other. They're just going to be like, yeah, I'm your friend, I'm going to give you this advice. And then they turn around and they're like, oh, that was, why did I just do that? Do you actually think I care about this, or I care about them? Ugh. But yeah, it can go either way. So I hope by this, it just sort of shows how people can be, and why people need help mentally. Not just mentally, not like that makes it sound weird or mean, but like how everything is for a reason. Why am I even trying to say anymore? That we have a bigger problem, I guess, and that we need to be finding more outlets or way to deal with this problem than just sort of ignoring it or not really doing anything with it. And maybe few people have the answers, like not everyone has a counselor, or not everyone has a therapist that they talk to, or a psychiatrist. Is there a difference between a therapist and a psychiatrist? I don't know. But, yeah, I'm gonna end that there. So I hope you enjoyed this, and yeah, by the end of, like, the ending part of this video, you're gonna see the responses to what was at the beginning, and I hope it sort of makes sense and everything, that what I was trying to say this whole time, that I really think what the comments to that post really sums it up a lot. So I hope you enjoyed. Bye. See you tomorrow with another video.